Okay, so I would love to talk about Ukkomon. So if you know me, I really like two main types of decks. I usually love rush decks, and I usually love white decks. There are all kinds of players out there, so people love red Digimon. So they are red players, or they're purple players, or they're green players. I just really love white. So most of the decks that I really love gravitate towards the white archetypes. So there's Eosmon. I just love Eosmon. There's Mother D Reaper, and I love the playstyle of the deck. And then King Drasil in BT13, otherwise known as Royal Knights, finishing off the Omnimon. And, there's a promo Ukkomon now. I would love to talk about it. So Ukkomon is just really meta defining. And I mean that, like, literally. So in Japan, Ukkomon did not become an actual card until around the BT15 meta for them. But for us English players, English card game players, Ukkomon is legal for the BT14 format and also for the EX5 format. So Ukkomon is a part of our meta that was not a part of the Japanese meta. So quite literally, Ukkomon is meta warping, just because it is able to shift the meta of BT14 and of EX5 in a different way than, how the Japanese players were able to play BT14 and EX5. But I would love to talk about Ukkomon. There's also the upcoming Apocalypse that I'm very excited about. I just love the flavor of the deck. It is a very fantastic deck with a great win con. But I do love the flavor of Apocalypse and the card. I just really like white decks in general, so I was so excited for Apocalypse. Like, probably the most excited at my locals about Apocalypse. But yeah, let's talk about Ukkomon, and I'm going to talk about several versions of the deck today. I am also building an Armor Rush version, or technically, two potential versions. But I am building an Armor Rush build, and I will showcase that in a future video. I will dedicate a whole video towards that build alone. But today I want to talk about several different versions of the Ukkomon deck that I have seen. And then again, just like the Armor Rush build, I will dedicate a separate video to talk about the BT16 Ukkomon, BT16 Louis, and BT16 Big Ukkomon. But surprisingly, those cards are good for the deck. They don't intuitively look good, but they actually are pretty good for the deck. I will address the Armor Rush build and the BT16 support later. But yeah, let's talk about some builds I found really interesting for the deck. Okay. So here is what I call the OG list. So in Japan, there was a 3 versus 3 tournament, and one of the players used this Ukkomon deck. So this is basically the deck that most people recognize as the Ukkomon Rush deck. And first, I would love to go through this deck and talk about it. So Ukkomon, the star Digimon of the deck, can Digivolve from any color. Your turn once per turn, when one of your Digimon moves from the breeding area to the battle area, you may hatch in the breeding area, then gain 1 memory. So Ukkomon sees itself moving from the breeding area to the battle area if you move it out. So you could Digivolve your Ukkomon onto your egg, and then once you push Ukkomon out, you are then able to hatch another egg, and then you gain 1 memory. So this doesn't seem very intuitive, but if you have this Ukkomon, then you can hatch every turn as opposed to every other turn. If this is comboed with the Louis promo card, then you can just get eggs out very quickly. But yeah, this Ukkomon, very good. I will discuss more about this Ukkomon and how it actually combos as I discuss more of the deck. there is this Muchomon from BT15. So your turn once a turn, when your red Digimon attacks a player, draw one. So this card is just good for this Rookie Rush style because you aren't really Digivolving as much. So if you are playing an Ukkomon Rookie Rush, then you do want some draw power in the deck. So this Muchomon, when any of your red Digimon attacks a player once per turn, draw one. So it even sees itself attacking. So it's like Promo Gilmon, when attacking, draw one. But then this Muchomon can see your other red Digimon attack a player as well. So you don't have to attack with this Muchomon. You can just keep it on the field while you attack with the other red Digimon if you want to. And then you can still get that draw one. So there's this Gaussmon. Your other Gaussmon all get plus 3000 DP. Opponent's turn, your opponent can't reduce Digivolution cost. There's this Gotsumon. All turns, players can't play Digimon by effects. There's a Solarmon. Players can't reduce play cost. So you can see this pattern with the Rookie Rush Ukkomon deck, where you block players from reducing Digivolution costs, which doesn't really affect you because you really aren't Digivolving except for on top of your eggs. This Gotsumon, so players can't play Digimon by effects. So it affects certain decks like Anubismon, Fangreal Lugamon, I guess Gomamon, but not really in this deck. But any deck that really wants to spam out Digimon, so like even if you're playing against Jesmon, it will stop Jesmon from spitting out a bunch of Systemons. And Solarmon, players can't reduce play cost, so this helps you against Defxmon. It helps you against Blue Flare. It also helps you against Roll Knights, but mainly Blue Flare, Roll Knights, Defxmon. Also Mervamon in the Anubismon deck that will be very popular in EX5. So this Gotsumon, this Solarmon, very popular. Very good anti-Anubismon counters. There's this Otamamon, 2 play cost, so you really want to play this. And then it's 5000 DP, so you really hope that when you swing with it, you live security. So this is just the card that you would want to play from hand because it's really good tempo, being 2 cost. 5000 DP, so when you attack with it, you live security checks. And then some extra memory blockers, so Terriermon, Chumon, they just stop opponent from gaining memory. Chikurimon as an extra help on top of Solarmon, so you can stop opponent from reducing play costs. Cutemon on top of the Gaussmon to stop your opponent from reducing Digivolution costs. Pillamon on top of the Gotsumon to prevent them from playing Digimon by effects. You aren't playing any Digimon by effects yourself, so this doesn't hurt you. And then the OG list uses Meter Wing. So main, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 15,000 DP or less for each of your opponent's security cards. Subtract 2,000 from the maximum this DP base deletion effect can delete. So this is actually pretty good for the deck. So since you are playing a rush style, you're just chipping away at their security repeatedly. So, if they have 5 security, then you can delete one of their opponent's Digimon of 5,000 DP or less. If they have, let's say they have 3 security remaining, then you can delete their Digimon up to 11,000 DP or less, which is still, pretty good. Yeah, 11,000 DP or less. I think that may have done some math wrong. But yeah, the more that you chip from their security, the more that, you are able to delete higher DP Digimon for only 4 cost. So this is a pretty good method if you want to go the route where you swing over and over and over again very quickly, very early, very often. So this is pretty good at removing large Digimon for very cheap. There's Atomic Blaster. So choose any number of your opponent's Digimon whose total DP adds up to 8,000 or less and delete them. So you could delete one 8,000 DP body, or you can delete several Digimon that are low DP that add up to a maximum of 8,000 DP. So if your opponent decides to Rookie Rush against you, you could delete their rookies. Or if they are building up, then you can delete their level 5, for example. So this is more versatile. Crimson Blaze I really like. So reduce the memory cost of this card in your hand by 1 for each Digimon your opponent has in play. So if they do try to Rookie Rush you as a counter against your Rookie Rush deck, then Crimson Blaze, you can just use this to get rid of the rookies. So main effect, delete all of your opponent's Digimon with 6000 DEP or less. Your opponent can't play Digimon by effects until the end of their next turn. So this is pretty good against other Rookie Rush decks, or even decks that play Digimon out by effects. So let's talk about Louis. So Louis, 3 cost on play. You may move one of your level 3 or higher Digimon from the breeding area to the battle area. So basically, you play this Louis, you bring your Digimon from breeding out, and since you aren't playing any Digimon in breeding, you're Digivolving off of the level 2 Digimon. It's like the BT1 Mimi effect, where once you push that Digimon out that has hatched and then it has Digivolved, it is able to attack right away, even if you just hatched and even if you just Digivolved that turn. So this is really good. So essentially, it's a hybrid for game. So your turn effect, one of your Digimon moves from the breeding area to the battle area. By suspending this tamer, gain 1 memory. So you play Louis for 3. You push one of your Digimon from breeding out. You suspend Louis immediately. So effectively, Louis costs a net 2. And then you have that Digimon out that can then swing. So it's kind of like hybrid. So this deck uses 4 Koromon. Koromon is the best egg for the deck. So BT14 Koromon, your turn once per turn. When a card is removed from your opponent's security stack, draw 1. So note that this card is really good because however, a card is removed from your opponent's security stack during your turn, then you will draw 1 from this Koromon. So let's say you have an Ukkomon over this Koromon, and then you push that Ukkomon out. You don't really want to swing with that Ukkomon. You kind of want that Ukkomon to chill on the field, doing its thing. Or if you have a relevant floodgate against your opponent's deck. So if you have a Gaussmon and you want them, if you're playing against a very Digivolution reduction cost reliant deck like Bloom Lordmon, then you kind of don't want to swing with this Gaussmon. You kind of just want it chilling on the field. So, or you could have this Muchamon. You want this Muchamon chilling on the field. There are several Digimon that you might not want to swing with, whether it's relevant as a floodgate for your opponent's deck, or if it's Ukkomon, you just want at least one Ukkomon, mostly all the time, out. So, whatever it may be, the Digimon that is on top of this egg doesn't have to be the one attacking. As long as you attack with your other Digimon, you remove security, and then a security is removed, then you can draw. So because Ukkomon is just really good at pushing other Digimon out, and in combination with Louis, you can push out several of these Koromons out pretty easily. So if you have several of these on the field, once you check security for the first time every turn, then you can draw 1 card for each of these Koromon inheritables. So that is pretty good. Yokomon. So, this is the BT15 one. So on deletion, return 1 Digimon card with avian, bird, beast, animal, or sovereign other than sea animal and one of its traits from your trash to your hand. So the BT15 list uses this Yokomon. So there are a bunch of avians, beasts, and maybe some animals. So, of course, Muchamon is an avian. Terramon is a beast. Chumon is a beast. I guess it's only those 3. But, if you want to bring back this Muchamon because it gave you so much draw power, or if you want to bring back a memory blocker, you can with this Yokomon. So I think that's what the original creator of this deck wanted. So kind of like a draw, but not really a draw. So you can still get a card to your hand after this Digimon leaves. So it's similar to a draw, but you can kind of pick which of the eligible Digimon you want to grab. So this is pretty good. So again, this is like the OG list. The plan is just to have Ukkomon, and then Ukkomon will help you accelerate your hatching. So it will be every turn as opposed to every other turn. So you can push out your Digimon pretty quickly. And if you combo Ukkomon with Louie, you can even get several raisings per turn. So this is pretty good. The plan is just to rush out your rookies. Your floodgate rookies will stop your opponent from whatever they do. So reducing resolution cost, playing by effects, reducing play cost, and then all the while just keep getting draws. The Muchamon will help you facilitate more draws. The Koromon will help you to get more draws. Ukkomon will selectively allow you to grab an eligible Digimon from trash to hand. And then Louie and Ukkomon will just help you to get eggs out more quickly, Digimon out from breeding more quickly, and then also gaining you a bunch of tempo from the memory. So let's talk about Xanitsu's list. So I think that Xanitsu is the one who has, kind of created this main list that we see today. So this is stemming from the original popular Japanese list. So the 4 Koromons are of course the same. This is the BT11 Ukkomon. So on deletion, if you have a red tamer in play, draw 1. So this is more relying on you having a red tamer out. So you do get +1 card advantage once your Digimon dies, but you still have to rely on having a red tamer, which is kind of why I understand why the OG list uses the BT15 Ukkomon, but we do not currently have the BT15 Ukkomon, so this is probably one of the better eggs that we can use for the time being. And then for Xanitsu's list, of course, the Ukkomon's the same. Gilmon replaces the Muchamon. So, Gilmon, when attacking, trigger draw 1, is similar to the Muchamon when your red Digimon attacks a player once per turn, draw 1. So it's similar, just like kind of different, but if you plan on just attacking with the Gilmon anyways, it's pretty negligible. It's basically the same effect if you plan on attacking with the Gilmon. The Otamamon, 2 costs, 5,000, same count on Gotsumon, same count on Pillamon, same count on Ghostmon, same count on Cutemon, I believe, same count on Solarmon. And then instead of running Chikurimon, there's Psychmon. But basically, Chikurimon and Psychmon are interchangeable, the same effect. Unless you want to play some specific options that are purple or black, you can. But this is just like your preference if you want Chikurimon or Psychmon. And then Gazimon. So again, you could run basically any memory blocker you wanted. So you could throw in a Madoki Betamon if you wanted, or you could throw in a Chumon if you wanted. But this is really up to preference. You don't need like these exact memory blockers, but you can mix around with Psychmon, Madoki Betamon, Chikurimon, Chumon, basically any of those that have the same effect basically do the same thing if you aren't relying on color for option effects. And their traits do not matter in this deck because they are not vaccine, which we'll get to later. 4 Terriermon, 3 Crimson Blaze, because Crimson Blaze is again good at nixing your opponent's Rookie Rush plan against your Rookie Rush deck. Magma Bomb. So this is an option that we haven't discussed yet. So 6 cost. When you would use this card if you have a red tamer in play, reduce the cost by 1. Main effect, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP. So this is potentially 5 cost if you have the Takamiya out. But if you don't have the Takamiya out, then it'll be 6 cost. So it can be a cheap removal option if your opponent has one singular Digimon. So if they have like one Defexmon, that's their only Digimon out, and then you use this Magnum Bomb, even 4/6 cost to remove the Defexmon is pretty good. So this situationally can get rid of large Digimon, but because it deletes the lowest DP, it's very reliant on whatever lowest DP Digimon your opponent has. So you could use this for cheap, or you could just swap this out for Trident Gaia, Trident Gaia Force, I think, or just regular Gaia Force, or pretty much any other red removal option that can give you more consistency if you want to. This is in the deck because Xanitsu wanted to value low cost removal. So if you wanted to keep this, you could, or you can just swap this out for a different, more precise spot removal. Fireball, 2 cost, main effect, delete one of your opponent's Digimon of 3000 DP or less. If an opponent's Digimon wasn't deleted by this effect, draw 2. So Xanitsu says that they don't really use this option to delete low DP Digimon. They just use this option mainly to draw. I haven't used the deck myself, but I don't really think that this option is necessary in this deck for draw power. Just from looking at the deck list and having used a different Ukkomon list, I can already see that if you have these Coromons out, and then you can push these Coromons out pretty easily, you don't really need this Fireball, because if you have several of those Coromons out, you can just draw cards from having those Coromons. So I don't think that the Fireball is necessary. I did make my own version of this deck, so I will show that off right after. It's just like mostly the same deck, just some tweaks to mirror the cards that I want to use. Louis for Louis, of course, because Louis will help you accelerate so much in this deck. Then the Taikamiyas. So the Taikamiyas are pretty interesting. So 3 play cost. So of your main phase, one of your Digimon with the vaccine trait gets plus 2000 EP for the turn. So there are many Digimon with the vaccine trait in this deck. So there is the Pillamon. No, yes. So Pillamon is vaccine. There's this Cutemon that's vaccine. There's this Solarmon that's vaccine. These are not vaccine. So again, you could swap Psychmon and Geizimon for whichever memory floodgate of your choice, or play cost floodgate of your choice. Terriermon is also vaccine. So you have Terriermon, Solarmon, and the yellow rookies. So they are all vaccine. So that Taikamiya can buff up your Digimon at the start of your turn. So then, since they are able to get a 2000 DP buff, they are more likely to survive in security against some champions and rookies in security. So this is kind of helpful in keeping them alive after performing a security check. And then this effect is also pretty good. Your turn, when a card is removed from your opponent's security stack, by suspending this tamer, gain 1 memory. So the goal of this deck is, again, to rush your opponent down. So you will be attacking their security pretty aggressively early. So this Kamiya will help you, so then you can better outlive your opponent's security Digimon with that 2000 DP buff on your vaccine Digimon. Or, I mean, and in addition to that, you can also gain 1 memory after you chip away a security. So this is pretty good. It's a pretty good tamer, honestly. So here's kind of my version of the deck. I just tweaked some minor things. So again, you could swap out the Psychmon and the Geizimon if you want to. So it doesn't really matter. But if you want to play some black options, you can switch out those Digimon with Chikurimon and Chumon if you want to. But the actual Digimon that you're using doesn't really matter. Chumon is 1000 compared to Geizimon's 2000. But, I'm just saying that you could swap them out if you want to. I kept Crimson Blaze, basically everything the same except for these 2 option cards. So again, looking at Magma Bomb, I didn't really like Magma Bomb. It's not really consistent. If my opponent is attacking me with a very large Digimon on field and some rookies on field, I would really love the chance to get rid of their large Digimon. So main effect, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the highest DP. If a Digimon with 13,000 DP or more is deleted by this effect, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So I really like this card because it's kind of like Gaia Force. Most of the time you want to delete their largest Digimon out there. So, if they happen to be 13,000 DP or more, then you get to trash the top card of their security. If you use it during your turn, then you will get the procs from the BT-14 Coromon. If you haven't attacked that turn. But yeah, I like this card just because I want to more consistently remove my opponent's largest DP Digimon. If I'm thinking about this deck, the cards that will give me the most trouble are blockers and their boss Digimon. So assuming that their boss Digimon is on the field, I want to reliably get rid of that large Digimon. So I would love to use Trident Gaia. And the security removing is also pretty good because I'm playing a rush deck. So I would love to take away even that security. So this is my quote-unquote attack for the turn. So just being able to get rid of something and also chip away one security could honestly turn the tide of the game. X program. So I'm still thinking about the count for X program. I'm not fully sure if I want to run 3 X program or if I want to run a different card. But this is like the Hail Mary of the deck. If you are in a losing position and you just want to get rid of an imminent threat. So if you are facing lethal, your opponent is playing Jasmine or something, then you didn't happen to get your Digimon that can stop effect spamming Digimon out. So, if whatever the situation may be, if you're facing lethal, X program is great because you don't really need to ignore Digivolution. You don't really need to ignore color requirements, because you might have Ukkomon out, or more likely you will have Louis out. So assuming that you are in that position, I would just X program. So delete one Digimon without X antibody and its traits. If there are 3 or more Digimon in play, delete all Digimon without X antibody and their traits instead. So even if your opponent has one large boss Digimon, you could just use this from your hand to get rid of it. Even if, Trident Gaia might be better. If you don't have Trident Gaia in hand, X program, you can just get rid of their Digimon. So with X program, you can select which Digimon to remove. It doesn't have to be the highest DP Digimon, but it has to be a Digimon without X antibody and traits. So I do like X program because I also like the potential to just wipe the board. If you are facing lethal and your opponent has several Digimon that will attack you for game next turn, just running X program so you can wipe the board is pretty good. So if you have a Louis on board, it doesn't really matter. Keeping your Ukkomon alive, that is. I would just rush out that turn, assuming that, there are still 3 Digimon remaining. I would just rush out and then I would just X program to just wipe the board. So that way I can get some chip damage in, and also I can just board wipe my opponent's Digimon. If I'm going to lose my Digimon anyways, I would just get the checks in. But X program seems like a really good way out if you are just facing lethal. So here's an interesting Paildramon deck that I saw online. So this is Earth's deck. It was featured on Digital Gate Studios YouTube channel. So let's run through the deck. And if you haven't noticed at this point, I kept the deck lists in the same order as they debuted in their videos. So again, here's the Japanese deck list. So this wasn't from a video, but it was really popular from a picture online. So this is the same order as that picture. This is the same order as Xanitsu talked about in their deck profile video. So, same exact order. Here's the order that I made my deck list in. So basically the same deck list as Xanitsu, just like with some slight alterations of cards that I like. And then Zenitsu's list is basically just the same as the OG Japanese list, but with alterations that they like. And then here is the interesting Paildramon deck that I saw. So again, skipping over the cards that we really know. Ukkomon, Louis, basically to accelerate the Digimon that come out of raising, and also to gain you memory every time a Digimon comes out from raising. So 4 Wanyamons. When attacking once per turn, if you have a blue tamer in play, draw 1. Demi Vmon. When attacking once per turn, if this Digimon has jamming, trigger draw 1. So I will talk about the cards in their deck first, and I will talk about my experience using this deck. The Pro Vmon, your turn once per turn. When this Digimon would Digivolve into a card with the free trait, if you have a Tamer, reduce the Digivolution cost by 1. So this doesn't have to be a blue Tamer, it can be any Tamer. So if you have the white Louis out, then you can also reduce the Digivolution cost by 1. It's not even an optional can, you just automatically reduce the Digivolution cost by 1. So if you would go into your champion, and your champion would cost 2 to Digivolve, then this would just make it 1 to Digivolve if your opponent has no Digivolution cost reduction blockers out. But this is pretty good at helping you get tempo to go up to your level 4s. And then when attacking, if this Digimon has 2 or more colors, draw 1. Okay. That is not once per turn, by the way. So if you go into Paildramon, you attack, unsuspend, attack, then you draw a card each time you attack with the Paildramon. The Vmons from BT12. On play, reveal top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 card of Paildramon in its name, or the free trait, and 1 card with Davis Momia in its name among them to your hand. Place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So this is pretty good at helping you to get your Vmons, your Paildramon pieces, like XVmon, Stingmon, Paildramon. I think basically just that. So your Vmons, XVmons, Stingmons, and Paildramons. And also, if you reveal Davis Momia, you also grab that to your hand. So yeah, this is pretty good. The end of your turn, this Digimon and one of your other Digimon in play may DNA Digivolve into a Digimon card in your hand for the cost. It is pretty good. Usually you would pass memory, but then if you want to DNA Digivolve, you can. So this Star Deck 9 Vmon is similar to the BT12 Vmon, but this is considered the worser of the two. So basically the same effect as the previous one. However, only you reveal top 3 and then you add 1 card of free and its traits to your hand. So if it's an Paildramon card without free and its traits, like Paildramon Virus, you can't add that to your hand. Or if you reveal Davis, you don't add that to your hand either. This only reveals 3 and then grabs a free trait to your hand. This reveals 3, grabbing a free trait or Paildramon card, and a Davis to your hand. So this is usually better. This is just used because we already maxed out the other Vmon, so we just want to use this Vmon to search for the Ukkomons. 2 Labramons from EX2. When attacking inheritable, once per turn, if this Digimon has jamming, gain 1 memory. The EX1 XVmon, so has jamming on it, an inheritable effect. When this Digimon has Paildramon in its name or free in its traits, it gains jamming. And then Stingmon, when you would play this card from your hand, if you have a blue Digimon in play, reduce the play cost by 1. So it costs 4, but if you have a blue Digimon out and you are able to reduce play cost, then it would just cost 3. Inheritable, when attacking, if you have a blue Digimon in play, draw 1. And again, this is also not once per turn. 3 Paildramons. So Digivolve 2 from Vmon. This cannot Digivolve from Labramon, but can evolve from any of your Vmons for 2 memory. It has Armor Purge, and when Digivolving, suspend one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. 2 Lanamons. So you could Digivolve this off of your Davises. The good thing about Davis is that Davis never suspends for any of Davis's effects. So Lanamon is just able to always have the potential to Digivolve if you have a Davis in play, and then still attack, assuming that you have a sufficient memory. When Digivolving, by placing a blue level 3 Digimon card from your hand as the bottom Digivolution cards of one of your blue Digimon, this Digimon gains jamming for the turn. So you don't even have to put a rookie underneath Lanamon. You can place it under any of your other blue Digimon, and Lanamon would still get jamming. I will talk about the combos later, but there are some combos that I have skipped over for now. The Paildramon from Star Deck 9. So DNA Digivolve from blue level 4 and green level 4. When Digivolving, when DNA Digivolving, return one of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less to the bottom of its owner's deck. When attacking, once per turn, unsuspend this Digimon. 1 Def Xmon, just in case your opponent is rookie rushing you and just really want an out. Or if they have a boss Digimon, you just want to de-Digivolve them. 4 Davises. So Davis is pretty nice to this deck. 3 play costs. So basically the same cost as a Vmon. Start of your main phase, if you have a Digimon with a free trait, gain 1 memory. On play, activate one of the following effects. You may play 1 Vmon from your hand without paying the cost. One of your Digimon may Digivolve into X Vmon in your hand without paying the cost. So this is just very good value. If you are spamming out Vmons from your hand, and then the Vmons all cost 3. So you might as well just play the Davis, so they can play the Vmon. So then you play the Davis for 3, you play the Vmon out for free, and then turn after turn, whenever you have a free Digimon at the start of your main phase, you gain 1 memory. So you keep getting value off of this Davis, so then you can just keep gaining a bunch of memory when you start your main phase, which is pretty often, honestly, because even the Ukkomon is free. So even if you push Ukkomon out during breeding phase and the start of main phase, even if Ukkomon is your only Digimon out, then you would still gain the memory because you have a free Digimon out. But yeah, Davis gives you so much value. You can just, instead of playing the Vmon for 3, you play Davis for 3, then you play the Vmon for 0, without paying the cost. So then basically the Davis is like, I think Kenjiro or Zenjiro, from BT10, I believe. You just play the Davis out, you play the Digimon out, turn after turn, you just get more value from Davis. And then if you needed to, you can just hybrid off of Davis into Lanamon. 4 mental trainings. So the trainings are pretty popular. 2 cost. Main effect, reveal top 2 cards of your deck. Add 1 blue card among them to your hand. Return the rest of the bottom of the deck in any order. Then place this card in the battle area. Main delay. One of your Digimon may Digivolve into a blue Digimon card in your hand for its Digivolution cost. When it would Digivolve by this effect, reduce the cost by 2. 1 Megadef. Main, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, then return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to its owner's hand. Security effect, the same as the main effect. Then Ice Wall, 1 cost. Main, all of your opponent's Digimon gain 1 attacking, lose 2 memory until the end of their next turn. Security, gain 2 memory. Okay, so I went through the deck. Now I will talk about the combos, and then I will talk about the things I like and what I do not like about this deck. So the combos. So this Labramon, when attacking, if this Digimon has jamming, gain 1 memory. So if you have this Labramon, you Digivolve it into XVmon, you attack, you have jamming, so you gain 1. And then later on this turn, let's say you play the Stingmon out for 3, you DNA Digivolve it into Paildramon, and then draw for the Digivolution, of course. And then you do the 1 Digivolving effect. You attack, you gain 1 memory from the Labramon. You unsuspend, you attack again. So this is pretty nifty. So you can gain 1 memory off of the XVmon. Then once you DNA Digivolve into Paildramon as a new Digimon. So when you attack, you can also get the Inheritable to trigger again. So that's pretty nice. So let's say you have that Paildramon. You have this promo Vmon. You have this Stingmon underneath. So the Paildramon will attack. You draw 1 from Vmon because that Paildramon is 2 or more colors. You draw 1 from the Stingmon because since you have that Paildramon, you definitely have a blue Digimon out. So you draw 1 from the Stingmon, and then you unsuspend, and then you attack again. So you draw another 1 card, you draw another 1 card. So if the Vmon and Stingmon are in your Paildramon stack, then you are able to draw 4 cards. So attack, draw 2, unsuspend, attack, draw 2. So it will help fill up your hand pretty easily. So those are mainly the combos. This is just pretty obvious. If you have jamming, then draw 1. So if this is under your XVmon and you attack, you draw. If your Paildramon has this egg and it has this XVmon, then you draw 1. So let's talk about what I don't like about the deck. I don't really love the Wanyamon. So honestly, this might be the best egg for this build. But I don't like how there's only 4 Davises. So when I was using this deck, the Wanyamon did not really proc that much. Just because there's only these 4 Davises. There's not too much draw power going on because, again, you are mostly just playing the rookies out. There's not much Digivolution in this deck, so getting the Davis out isn't really that reliable. So this Wanyamon's Inheritable is also unreliable because you don't really have that Davis out often. Like, you could have the Davis out, but you might not for some games. Demi Vmon, I also don't really like this. Because basically you are really relying on having this XVmon out for this Demi Vmon Inheritable. You don't even really want the egg under Lanamon. Because most of the time you want to Digivolve Lanamon on top of Davis. But if you are in a pinch, and then you Digivolve one of your rookies on top of the Demi Vmon, then you Digivolve Lanamon on top of your rookie, so you can give Lanamon jamming. But, it's not really that worth it. So this is just a critique mainly on how the deck does not have many blue tamers. So the Inheritable for Wanyamon is kind of iffy. I also am not a fan of this Vmon. So I understand that this Vmon is in the deck mainly because you want to play this Vmon so you can search for more pieces for the deck because there's not too many draw power. There's not too much draw power going on. But honestly, I think that even something like Starter Deck 8 Vmon is better. Just so that you can have the Inheritable if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand. Once per turn when attacking, draw 1. So even that Inheritable to me seems better. So it could just be my personal playstyle. But I feel like the Vmons definitely want more Inheritables with drawing. So I don't really like the Searcher Vmon. You just plop it down. You get like a card. I kind of like the starter deck 8 VMon where you can just attack and then get a card. But that's just my playstyle. Labramon, I don't really find that necessary. If, anything, I would just do 3 of these VMons, 3 of the starter deck 8 VMons, or even some jamming VMons are pretty nice too. And I am also making like a separate Armor Rush version, and I will show that later. But yeah, I don't love the Paildramons either. Like, they don't really come up that often. I understand that the XVmon and the Stingmons, if you have the XVmon out, then you want a green source. So you have 4 potential green source level 4s from Stingmon, 3 more from Paildramon. So you have 7 level 4 green Digimon that you are able to DNA with the XVmon, and vice versa. If you have the Stingmon, then you have the XVmons or the Paildramons to DNA into Paildramon. But I'm not quite sure if Paildramon is quite worth it. I might just, because like when I was thinking about the deck, it seems like even the other BT12 Stingmon is better than the Paildramon, or the BT12 XVmon better than the Paildramon. They cost 4, but then once you DNA, then you gain a memory back. If you're going into a eligible Digimon. So the XVmon, you gain 1 memory if you go into a blue DNA Digimon. And then the Stingmon gain 1 memory if you go into a green DNA Digimon, I believe. So both of them will just give you a memory. And I think that I honestly like the BT12 XVmon and Stingmon more than I do the Paildramon. So the Paildramon is more versatile, but I don't really want to rely on going into Paildramon as the win con. So I think that having just more XVmons and more Stingmons will unintuitively make the DNA Digivolution even more consistent. I do like the Lanamon pretty much. I do like it a lot because going off of Davis, you can just pretty much go off of Davis anytime you want. If you tuck this Labramon underneath, then you just gain a memory when you're attacking. You can also tuck one of these other inheritables under one of your other Digimon if you want to. So you could give this Labramon inheritable to your XVmon. And then you attack, you gain 1, and then you DNA into Paildramon, you attack, you gain another 1 memory. So you could do that. Or you can just tuck this VMon underneath one of your Digimon about to DNA Digivolve. And then once you are Paildramon, you can just get the draws. If you do have this Paildramon, it's not very often that it will come up. But if you have that Paildramon on top of this VMon and then you attack, then you draw 1. But honestly, I don't really want to attack my opponent's security with this Paildramon. It is 5000 DP, and basically if I'm Digivolving into the Paildramon, I'm setting up for a DNA Digivolution, so I don't really want to risk having to Armor Purge and then not being able to DNA Digivolve just for that 1 card draw from VMon. So I don't really want to chip my opponent's security with the Paildramon. This was the thing that it occurred to me when I was using this deck. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I have the promo VMon underneath Paildramon, but do I really want to be attacking my opponent's security at this point? Because I just Digivolved into Paildramon, so then I'm setting up my DNA Digivolution, so I don't really want to risk not being able to DNA Digivolve just for that 1 extra security check. Defexmon, pretty good card. It does help against Rookie Rush decks. So if your opponent is just spamming the board with rookies, then this is basically your Crimson Blaze of the deck. I really do not like the mental trainings, honestly. So there's not too much Digivolution happening in this deck. there is Digivolution to your level 4s. So if you want to go from Vmon to XVmon, you use the mental training, you just Digivolve for 0. Or going to Stingmon, you Digivolve for 0. Or to Paildramon, Digivolve for 0. And that's basically it. These are the cards that you really use the mental training for: XVmon, Stingmon, and Paildramon. Mostly you just go Lanamon on top of Davis. So you can't really use the mental training for that. But honestly, no, I take it back. Mental training can only go into Paildramon or XVmon out of the level 4s, excluding Lanamon, of course. But since Stingmon's green, you can't even use the mental training to go into Stingmon, because this is when you are about to Digivolve into a blue Digimon. So really, the mental training only useful if you go into XVmon or Paildramon, so it's not really that great of a card. I would just take them out entirely. I was like using the deck, and then I just didn't really like the mental trainings, honestly. I would replace this with different cards, maybe more Vmon rookies, because like when I was using the deck, more, it is 14 blue rookies and then 4 Ukkomon, so there's 18 rookies, but I personally would love to see more rookies, because if you brick, because there's not too much draw power until you go into Paildramon, so if you end up bricking because you haven't assembled the Paildramon yet, then you might not get the rookies that you need. You might be drawing a bunch of Paildramons, or you might have some Paildramons that don't really help you in the immediate moment, or any of your level 4s when you really just want a rookie so you can Digivolve and push out consistently turn after turn. So even the mental trainings, I would probably replace with some more rookies, or basically anything you want. I was like thinking about what to replace with, and then I came up with a list. I was talking with my friend about the list, but I will probably go more in depth about it once I make the Armor Rush video and publish it. Megadef, I'm not really sold on either. It seems good. I'm not fully sold on it. Ice Wall, I don't really like either. So if your opponent is going at you for lethal, Ice Wall, it doesn't, like, I don't really like it personally. I would probably run something like a second Defax. Ice Wall seems okay. But yeah, I do like the promo Vmons, definitely. 4 Ukkomons, 4 Louis. I like the BT12 Vmon. I like this EX1 XVmon. I like the Stingmon. I like the Lanamon. Paildramon can work. I just don't really like how there's not too many level 4s and level 3. Level 4 blue and green. I often had this Paildramon in hand, but I didn't have the necessary Digimon to go into it. So maybe if you can just remove the mental trainings, you can either add some rookies in, or you can add some more champions in, so then you can more consistently go into Paildramon. But yeah, this deck was fun. I did brick with this deck in several games. So let's talk about a fun version that I kind of want to explore. Note that this deck is more casual, so it's not really competitive. The problem is there's not really a good green egg for the deck, so I kind of made like a blue-green version of Ukkomon Rookie Rush. So 2 Siakamons, 4 Cutemons, 4 Terriermons, 2 Madoki Beamons, 4 Pomumons, 2 Gotsumon, 4 Psychomon, 2 Solarmon, and of course you can replace this Psychomon with Chikurimon if you want to. 4 Gaussmon. So this is pretty interesting. So so instead of adding Digimon that search, I can just add Digimon that draw 1. Basically the same thing. You just add 1 card to your hand, and if you aren't looking for anything specific, then this is possibly better than searching, because you just get that guaranteed draw. So if you reveal top 3 and then nothing is a match, then you whiff. But if you just draw, then it's just like a guaranteed card advantage. So I kind of like the draw more than the reveal if I'm not looking for anything specifically. Your turn will return when a card with the blue flare trait is played, draw 1. When a card with the twilight trait is played, return 1 Digimon with Digicross requirements from your trash to your hand. So since Gaussmon is blue flare, when you play Gaussmon, then it will see itself come into play, so you will get that draw with the EX4 Gaussmon specifically. There is a similar Dracomon, but Dracomon specifically says when another blue flare strip is played or Dramon is played. But with the Gaussmon, when you play this, it will see itself come into play, and then you will get that draw. If you have several of these out and you play Gaussmon from your hand, then you will get several draws. Gabumon, on play, trigger, draw 1. So this is pretty simple. So these blue Rickies, when you play them, you draw 1. And then I'm just running basically the same floodgates as Xanitsu, just like different Digimon. But there is a reason why I'm using these counts. So this is a green base. I will talk about the eggs later. So Palmon, pretty nice. Start of your main phase, one of your opponent's Digimon gains all turns. When this Digimon becomes suspended, lose 2 memory until the end of their turn. So you aren't running any effects that would suspend your opponent's Digimon. However, you are able to use this Palmon to inhibit your opponent. So, just push this Palmon out. Now, start of your main phase, you target one of their Digimon. So then when they attack with it next turn, or if they block with it this turn, then they would lose 2 memory. So that's pretty nice. So, it's just a little nice something to deter your opponent from attacking you. Or if they still have to attack you anyways, then, they have less actions to do. They could possibly give you more memory to work with. So this Palmon is pretty nice. Lalamon. So on play, reveal top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 Digimon card with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy in one of its traits, and 1 Yoshino Fujieda among them to the hand. Place the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order. So I'm using this Lalamon instead of the BT10, I believe, Palmon, because this Lalamon can actually search for Fairy in traits, in one of its traits. So this can grab the Ukkomon. So I am playing a pretty significant number of Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy. So there's the 4 Palmons, there's the 4 Lalamons, there's the 4 Ukkomons that is Fairy in traits. Fairy in one of its traits, I mean. There's this Cutemon, which I'm playing 4 of. And then 4 Pomamons that I'm playing 4 of. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So there's a pretty hefty chunk of plant, vegetation, or fairy that you are able to grab with Lalamon. So this Lalamon will easily help you to find Ukkomon in the early game. I'm not saying that's pretty reliable, but it is useful at, finding the Ukkomon if you don't have one yet. Davis. So I'm playing blue and green. So there are 8, 12, 16 green. And then there are 8, 10, 12 blue Digimon. So 16 green, 12 blue Digimon. If you play this Davis, then you can usually get a +2 card advantage. So you play this and you get one of your blue Digimon, one of your green Digimon. So it's pretty nice. Being set to 3 is pretty good because, you kind of want to be at least 3 so you can play more rookies out during your turn. Ukkomon at 4, Louis at 4. So this is kind of my deck. It seems good. I just need to sub some cards out so I can place some 2-cost Digimon in. Also, I'm not running any options at the moment, so it's very skewed towards Digimon. But yeah, this is more like a fun deck. I'm not saying that this is competitive in any way. And, you know, there aren't really any really good green eggs currently. There's this Argamon. When this Digimon becomes unsuspended during your unsuspend phase, gain 1 memory. So you could use that Argamon, but all of your Digimon that you're going to be attacking with are pretty weak. So Terramon, Pomamon 2000, Palmon, Lolamon 1000, Ukkomon 2000. So basically, you know, the chances are pretty low that you will attack security, live security check, and then be able to still unsuspend during your next unsuspend phase. So this seems not reliable, but you know, this is a potential egg that you could use. This Commandramon seems like the better egg to use. So when attacking, reveal top card of your deck and place it at the top or bottom of your deck. So, you know, it's not as good as a draw, but you know, if you look at the top card, it's not Ukkomon and you really want Ukkomon, put it at the bottom. You just, you know, you can selectively look for Digimon that you need, or the tamers that you need, or, you know, specifically Ukkomon if you need it. You know, it's not as good as a draw, so it's kind of meh, but you know, we don't really have any good green eggs. That's kind of what I'm getting at. There's Torikara Balmon from BT12. Your turn, once per turn, when you play a green Digimon, this Digimon gets plus 2000 EP for the turn. So if you have, you know, there's 16 green Digimon, so if you have this as your egg, then you're just rookie rushing. So you're just going to be playing rookies pretty often. So if you play, for example, Lalamon, and then you have Torikara Balmon underneath Terramon, then Terramon will be 4,000, and then you are slightly more likely to live security checks. So the DP could matter. It's not great, but you know, if this gives you more chance of living security, you could use Torikara Balmon. Now this is hyper situational here, but the EX2 Gummimon, your turn, once per turn, when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, draw 1. So if you are playing against your opponent and then your opponent has a blocker, you could attack with one of your Digimon. And then once your opponent's blocker blocks, they suspend, so you get that draw. So, you know, you kind of don't want to attack if they have a blocker, but, you know, at a certain point, then you kind of have to attack, even if they have a blocker out. But if they do, and then they suspend, then you draw 1. But yeah, there's not really many great green eggs for the deck. So this is kind of just a very fun deck to use casually, but there's just not really much draw power in the actual deck itself. There's not really many great green eggs out there, so I would probably say that this is not competitive. But let's talk about something that I actually think is pretty competitive. So here is like version 1, like the beta version of my Commandramon deck. So Commandramon just makes a lot of sense to me. Like, if you look at the pretty popular Japan lists, you see, oh, cool, there's a bunch of draw powers. There's a bunch of floodgates. So this deck is more like, oh, cool, let's stop my opponent from doing stuff. So it's not exactly mid-range, but it's more like an aggro / control style. So you are still aggro, but you're also control. So you control your opponents from utilizing their effects. So this is not fully focused on aggro. It is still considered an aggro deck, but it's not as aggro as the Commandramon deck that I'm about to show you. So this Commandramon deck, I think that there's value in this deck. it doesn't have as many memory. It does have as many floodgates as other Ukkomon decks have, but what it does have is more aggro than other Ukkomon decks. So, it's not like one deck is better than the other, but this deck takes Ukkomon and then uses it in a different way. So other aggro decks out there are more aggro control. This is more like very early game aggressive aggro. So for Pagumons, on deletion, reveal the top card of your deck, add it to your hand if it's a black Digimon card. Otherwise, place it at the bottom of your deck. And then 1 EX5 Tokomon. On deletion, if it's your opponent's turn, draw 1. There's not really another egg that I would use. Maybe I would consider Missimon from BT14. So when attacking once returned by returning 3 cards of the D Brigade or Digipolice trait from Musashi to the top of the deck, this Digimon gets plus 2000 DP for the turn. So this could be a good card if you want to recycle this Commandramon especially. But this just seems okay. Like, again, this deck, you kind of want to focus on early game aggro. So you don't really need to rely on having more D Brigades in trash, returning them to your top of the deck, then going to them later. So I don't know. I kind of am mixed between this Tokomon and the BT14 Missimon. But I think that this is pretty good so far. But I will most likely make adjustments to this deck as I fidget with some ratios. For Chikurimons, so Chikurimons, because Defax is a huge problem for this deck. If your opponent has a Defax, then they just wipe out your whole board, basically. You are playing the Decoy Commandramon, so the Decoy Commandramon can save one of your D Brigade Digimon, but, you'd rather just have this Chikurimon so they can just stop the Defax from coming down and wiping your whole board. 4 of these Dorumons. So security effect, at the end of the battle, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a black Digimon card with a play cost of 4 or less, you may play it without paying the cost. Add the remaining card to your hand, then add this card to its owner's hand. So again, this is more like an early aggressive deck. So if this Dorumon is in security, you are playing so many black Digimon with play cost 4 or less. So the chances are pretty good that when this is hit in security, you reveal card of security and you play out one of your black Digimon. So you can get more aggro in next turn. It also adds itself to hand, and you also draw a card. Otherwise, if it is not an eligible card. So either way, you add this to your hand, and either you add the top card of your deck to your hand, or you play it. So this is pretty good. For Ukkomons, of course. So these are the rookies that are not Commandramons. And then the next few, the other rookies are all Commandramon. 4 of the 2 play cost Commandramons, because these are pretty good at tempo and manipulating the memory gauge for these Commandramons. So it's not really jamming. Possibly it's better than jamming. So you attack security, and then hopefully this thing dies. Then on deletion, reveal top 3 cards for your deck. You may play 1 Commandramon among them without paying its cost, and then bottom deck the remaining cards in any order. This Commandramon is pretty good. So on play, reveal top 5 cards of your deck. Add 1 card with the D Brigade or Digipolice trait among them to your hand. Return the rest of the bottom to the top or bottom of the deck. So this will help you to set up your Pagumons. So then you can guarantee that, the Digimon is black. So you will be able to get that card to hand. This will help you to set up your Pride Memory Boost. Pride Memory Boost is pretty good with this high Commandramon in particular, or even this 4 cost Star Deck 5 Commandramon. So if you can rig your security, or no, if you can rig the top few cards of your deck with Commandramon or High Commandramon so they can combo with Pride Memory Boost, or even to combo with Paildramon, then you can basically guarantee that you will be able to play the Digimon that you want, or you will be able to add a Digimon card to your hand that you want. So this is pretty good. And even when you just play it, you just add that card to your hand anyways. So it's kind of like a draw one. Decoy D Brigade. So this is, if you have this on the field, your opponent uses a deletion effect. This is mainly as something to help against multi-deletion effects like Defexmon or Crimson Blaze. Basically anything that would delete several of your Digimon. If you have this decoy out, they can save one of your other D Brigade Digimon. So this is pretty good for that. This is just a 5000 DP beat stick. It's high cost, but most likely you will Digivolve in the back, or you will play this for free from your Commandramon or High Commandramon or Pride Memory Boost. So the 4 play cost doesn't really matter. 5000 DP, so let's go back to that. Since it's such a big DP Digimon, it will live more security battles than your other Commandramon. I am considering bumping this up to 4. The question is, what other cards should I remove? So I kind of like Chikurimon. You don't really need 4 Chikurimon, but I like having 4 Chikurimons just because Defexmon will really screw this deck over. So just having more Chikurimons, so then you can better prevent the Defexmon from coming into play. Just seems like worth running for. Not only that, but you also inhibit Royal Knights. You inhibit Blue Flare. You inhibit Hunters. This still inhibits a bunch of Digimon decks. So even if not only for Defexmon, you also inhibit other decks. So this is still pretty good at 4. This Dormon is also pretty good. I don't want to change the ratios of these cards, but of these 3, I would most likely take down some Chikurimons to add more Commandramons, 4 cost Commandramons if I want to. I might take out some decoy Commandramons, but yeah, there are some cards I can fidget around with if I want to make this into a 4 of. Now let's talk about High Commandramon. So 4 play costs, you could play this for 4, but most likely you will want to get this out from the, I think, BT4 Commandramon? Yeah, BT4 Commandramon's effect, or from Pride Memory Boost. So this BT14 Commandramon, pretty good, because you are able to rig the top cards of your deck. So, if you have this High Commandramon on top, chances are pretty good that if you swing with this Commandramon, you will be able to cheese this High Commandramon out. So this Commandramon is pretty good at, picking which card you want to add to hand, which cards you want to put on top of the deck, or bottom deck cards if you want to. But this High Commandramon 4000 DP, when attacking, reveal top 3 cards of your deck. You may play 1 card of the D Brigade or Digi-Police trait, and a play cost of 3 or less among them without paying the cost. Return the rest to the bottom of the deck. So you can play out all of your other Commandramons except for the 4 cost Commandramon. But again, if you rig your deck with this Commandramon, you can always guarantee that you will have at least 1 target. But, the sheer numbers of Commandramons that you have in this deck, chances are pretty good that you will attack and you will be able to play a Commandramon out. So this Numemon, it serves 2 main purposes. So on play, when Digivolving, by placing 1 Satsuki Tamahime from your hand as this Digimon's bottom Digivolution card, while if your Digimon gains rest for the turn. So this is the quote-unquote hybrid of the deck. So it has Rush. If your opponent, if you are just like 1 check away from winning, then you can just use this Numemon, play the Satsuki underneath it. Place Satsuki underneath it, and then, gives itself rush. It has jamming. You attack, and now, you are one swing closer to winning the game. So this is pretty good. Satsuki, very good for this deck. So you basically want to get Satsuki into play for free from this Numemon. And then start of your main phase, if your opponent controls a Digimon, gain 1 memory. More memory is always good in a Rookie Rush deck, so you can have more plays. Mind Link with one of your Digimon with Numemon, Monzaimon, or Digipolice trait. So sadly, you can only Mind Link with this 1000 DP Commandramon, this High Commandramon, or this Numemon. But jamming is still pretty good. So even if you don't have many targets for it, Satsuki can help you to get 1 memory at the start of your turn, and it can potentially give jamming to one of your Digimon. The Digimon that would probably want jamming the most is this High Commandramon. So you can attack with jamming, play out a Commandramon, and return, remove Satsuki, or you can just keep Satsuki so then it can reboot. But yeah, Satsuki with this High Commandramon, very good combo. For Louise, of course. And then the Pride Memory Boost. So 4 costs. Main, reveal top 3 cards of your deck. You may play 1 black Digimon card for a play cost of 4 or less among them without paying the cost. Trash the remaining cards. Then place this card in the battle area. Main delay. Gain 2 memory. So this is pretty good, especially after rigging security with this Commandramon. So you can play the high, relatively high 4 play cost Commandramon, or the relatively high 4 play cost High Commandramon. For basically, you use this for 4. You play for 4, so you're like even. Then turn after, you crack this for 2 memory. So now you have a 2 memory advantage. You could also use this to play out any of your other 3 play costs or 2 play costs Digimon, but you don't really gain as much value. So it kind of defeats the purpose of using this card and then you get like a different card out, but it's still good, just not as good. So even if it's not as good, it's still giving you 1 more memory to work with if you play a 3 cost out. And if you play like a 2 cost out and you gain 2 memory later, then you just break even. So it doesn't hurt you to use this card. So it could either give you some extra tempo, it could help you to get like a little bit of tempo, or it could just break even. But yeah, this card is still worth it to want to run. If I were to make some changes to this deck, I might add more of the 4 cost Commandramons. I'm not sure if I do want to add more because this High Commandramon can only play 3 costs or lower. I might take out some Pride Memory Boosts if I adjust the ratios of these 4 play cost Digimon. And I might add in some removal options like Ultimate Flare, just so that I can more easily get rid of my opponent's boss Digimon. If I wanted to, I could also use Defxmon. But, this deck seems good at just pushing Digimon out early so they can get more aggression pretty early. But yeah, these are the decks I really want to showcase, like the OG Japanese one, the Xanitsu build based on the Japanese deck list. I would assume it's based on that. And then my build, which is mostly the same as Xanitsu, but just like slightly different. The main differences are the options, but I just might use the same rookies as Xanitsu. Like, I'm just using these to show that they can be different, but they don't have to be. But yeah, the options, I love the 3 Crimson Blaze. I don't think that 4 is necessary. It's a really good option, but you don't really need to see it too often, so 3 is a really good count for it. Trident Gaia, just so you have more consistency in removing large Digimon out, and potentially trashing a card from their security. And then 3 X Program, just in case you need a Hail Mary as a board wipe. But if you wanted to, you can also use Def Xmon if you have some extra Def Xmon lying around. Otherwise, X Program seems good. Here is Earth's build, which focuses on going to Paildramon as the top end. I don't like some things about this build, like namely the mental training, possibly Megadef, the Paildramons. I'm not a huge fan of Stardeck 9 Vmon. So, you know, there are some things I would change about this deck, but it is also pretty good. If it's fun if you can get the combo going. It's just not easy. It's not as easy as I would like to DNA Digivolve into Paildramon. So this is a fun deck, but I would not say this is good for tournament play in any way. So this is a blue-green deck that I came up with, and basically there's not really a good singular green egg that is better than the other green eggs. So basically you can just, if you wanted to use this deck for fun, you can use basically any green egg that you would want to. And then this is the Commandramon deck that is more focused on aggression. So you aren't playing as many floodgates as the other decks, but what you are aiming to do is that you are trying to flood the field with early Commandramons. So if you get this high Commandramon out, you can just attack, get more Commandramons out. If you have this Commandramon out, you can attack, you get a different Commandramon out. If this Doramon is hidden security, then most likely you will get a Commandramon out. Numemon, so you can get a chip damage in with jamming. And then you can just keep getting a memory turn after turn with this Satsuki Tamehime. So yeah, this deck is more focused on getting more Commandramons out, being able to swing even if this is deleted, then you get a different Commandramon out to replace it, so it's kind of like a pseudo jamming. If this is hidden security, they can get a Commandramon out most likely. And then this rigs the deck so they can selectively choose cards of Pride Memory Boost, or with when attacking from high Commandramon. But yeah, this, I kind of am more leaning towards this style of Ukkomon deck, just because I really like early game aggression. So most likely I will pilot and use this deck compared to like the other Ukkomon decks. Like, I tried out Earth's deck, and it was fun, but I wasn't like a huge fan of the deck. There were some cards that I would probably replace. I am going to try out this Rush deck. It seems fun. It seems like a deck that would annoy your opponent. It seems fun. So I will give this a try. It does seem like it has a consistent amount of card draw in the deck. Some good removal options if your opponent tries to Rookie Rush you, or if they have a large Digimon that you want to get rid of. But I will give this deck a try very soon. I just need to finish building it. I need to look for some cards, but basically I have all the cards. I just need to look for them. But yeah, I would probably love like my version of the popular Rookie Rush build of Ukkomon, and also the Commandramon version, because I think Commandramon really excels at getting many Commandramons out early. So you can just flood the field very easily with this deck. I'm very excited to try this deck as well. And of course, EX5 isn't here yet, so like basically any black Digimon can fill its slot. So since EX5 is not here yet, I would probably replace it with... you could use Doraemon if you want to. I would probably replace it with the BT14 Missimon. So then that way, if it comes up, then I can rig the top card of my deck so that I can guarantee which cards I will reveal from the top cards of my deck. So probably the BT14 Missimon in the meantime. All of my decks, I am actively avoiding BT15 cards because once BT15 comes, then, I will definitely be playing a Paildramon, so I will not really worry about Rookie Rush for a while. I'll just be focused on a Paildramon. But yeah, I will talk more about the Armor Rush build. I'll talk more... There was something else too. Oh yeah, big Ukkomon Louis from BT16, so I'll talk about those in separate videos. But yeah, thanks for watching. But yeah, this was just me discussing several different Ukkomon deck builds.